If you are a Chargers fan, you have to be super happy about this offseason because you have reversed a real problem. The number one problem, you can look at personnel, you can look at different things, but the number one problem with the Chargers was the lack of grittiness and toughness under Brandon Staley. Just wasn't there. Simple. And every team wants to be tough, wants to be physical, but it's just not, it wasn't there with Brandon Staley. And here's the one, right? December 14th, 2023. I mean, 42 to nothing at halftime. It's Raiders. It's your biggest rival. It is your rival, right? I mean, as we've done this channel, and by the way, we're Detroit Lions fans, but we have this channel all about the Chargers because we love Jim Harbaugh. And we've talked and asked questions on this channel about who's your biggest rival, all that. And it's the Raiders. And the Raiders are finding their own way last year at this point. And you go to 5-9 after getting destroyed. I mean, at one point, I think it's 42 to nothing, or it was 49 to nothing at one point, or whatever, right? It's just like, what are we doing? And that's not going to happen under Jim Harbaugh. And here's how you know that. So your new center had an interview, and it's talking about why were the Bolts the choice in the offseason. He says things are different here, but in the best way possible. We're grinding, we're working hard, we're doing things the right way. That's going to pay off this season. I've enjoyed everything we've done. I've been a part of systems where offseason a little smoother and they aren't as hard, but it doesn't pay off in the season. You really get out what the work you put in. And so then he talks about Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh. And it's like, let's go. And I know what Jim Harbaugh family is all about and how hard-nosed they are, and they are winners. I want to win a Super Bowl and do a lot of really great things. He goes down to talk about Jim and John Harbaugh. I haven't been able to nail the difference yet. I know that Jim played the game as a professional, so many viewpoints change a little bit, but other than that, I think they're both great coaches. I'm excited to play under both of them, and they're excited to see what we can do. And he talks about Greg Roman and just goes on and on about how physical, tough the franchise is becoming. And it's just like, it's a whole thing top down, the franchise. And so that's your center. That's why I picked that article and I see that, because that is the heartbeat of the team. Jim Harbaugh said it's the tip of the spear, the offensive line. And so the team before was not tough. And you're not playing fast. You're not playing physical. You're not sure. You've seen it all throughout camp. Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, the leaders of the team talking about, man, it's just different, right? It's not as much lip service as it is. They're talking about attention to detail, going to be fast, physical, and disciplined, especially with a new strength and conditioning coach. I mean, this team is going to look completely different than a team that was just like, what is going on? It was hard to watch at times, the Chargers last year, because there was no fight, kind of out of games like that one that I showed you, just out of games early and often. It's like, well, this is fun. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Now, another thing that is kind of cool is, we talked about this, but I don't want to let it just go here, is that the LA Chargers, Tarheeb Still, remember, 5th round pick corner. Keep an eye on him as we head into training camp. You can look back. We've done some videos on him. Really impressing Jesse Minter. I mean, here we go. Derwin James said he's doing a lot of good things. Jesse Minter said, love what he's been doing, making plays, and he's made the biggest progress from the end of minicamp all the way through OTAs. So keep an eye on that. Now, next thing that it's kind of interesting, saw this article I thought was really cool. The 3 most unbreakable records in Chargers history. And LaDainian Tomlinson is just one that you just forget how good he was. Why can't I highlight? Oh, wait, whatever. LaDainian Tomlinson, 28 touchdowns in a single season. That set the all-time NFL record, and that will not be broken. You would have to have the combination of a couple things. First, you have to be insanely good. You'd have to break long touchdown runs. I mean, Barry Sanders had like 17 or something like that. You'd have to have the ability to break long runs. You'd also have to have a little bit of luck, really, and have your team kind of get stopped inside the 5 on a couple plays, and hopefully you get some 4, 5, 6 touchdowns that way. I mean, gee whiz, this record will never be broken because you don't have the running backs that LaDainian. You're not a running back like LaDainian Tomlinson was. Incredible. Single season receiving yards per game, Wes Chandler. So where is it here? He finished with 129 yards per game. The closest someone has come to that was Kelvin Johnson getting 122 yards per game. Cooper Kupp's incredible season, 114 yards per game. Kelvin Johnson's 2012 season was insane. The Lions that year had some injury things. They just weren't good. And so that season goes just a little under the radar. And look at that. I mean, 129 receiving yards per game that will never be broken. Career tackles, Junior Seau. Junior Seau is the best defensive player in Chargers history, and it's not even close. The Pro Football Hall of Famer is the greatest linebacker of all time, who ran up the tackle count and seems impossible for any Charger to replicate. Seau finished with 842 tackles, 1,400 combined tackles. These numbers even as high they should be, as tackles were not recorded until 94 and not an official stat till 2021, resulting in 4 full seasons in which Seau's solo tackles were not counted. Despite that, he is 7th in NFL history. And so 85 solo tackles for 10 consecutive seasons is what you would need to do to surpass Seau. Derwin James leads right now with 80. He has 85. Hold on. In total tackles, he's had one season in his career over 85 tackles. And so, man, that one's crazy as well. So let me know in the comments also. I know you're a fan of the Chargers. Where do you live? In San Diego, LA, Northern California? Are you out in Florida? It's crazy how NFL teams, just with social media, being able to watch wherever. I mean, you can just like be a fan in so many different areas. Plus, the college game is then translated so easily, not so easily, just so seamlessly into the NFL that you could be a fan of, like, you could be up in Oregon, be a fan of Justin Herbert, gets down to. So I was like, man, I live in Oregon. So let me know in the comments where you're at and yeah, where you're at, because you're a fan of the Chargers, but it doesn't mean you live in LA or San Diego. So also, if you have not subscribed to our channel, make sure you subscribe. Training camp is right around the corner, and we're excited to see what happens as things really heat up and really get down to that 53-man roster. So let me know your thoughts, and we'll see all of you on the next one.